Hey friends, welcome back to Dish It with Des. I am Desiree, your podcast host, and obviously if you have listened to my two previous podcasts, both of those were about Vanderpump Rules with all the drama going on, but today we are going to pivot. I need a break from all of that drama, and we are going to be covering the Real Housewives of New Jersey episode from last week. I know the new one is about to air, so I wanted to make sure I got this done before that. So we are on episode 5 of season 13, and this episode is called Driving Miss Crazy. We start out and we see that Danielle is planning a birthday party for her daughter Valentina. Now Danielle is one of the new cast members this season, and I don't dislike her, but I don't know if I love her yet. I feel like that's pretty common, right? When we get some new cast members on some of our reality TV shows, sometimes it takes us a while to really judge if we're feeling them or not. She's one that hasn't really done anything to irritate me yet, but she also hasn't really done much to win me over. So I'm very neutral about Danielle right now. I'm just going to, see how things play out and see what vibe I get from her. You know who else I couldn't get a good read on when they first came on was Dolores, and I love her now. But do you guys remember when Dolores came on? It was at the same time like Marg and Siggy were on there, and I could not stand Siggy. And Dolores was always kind of like sticking up for her, whether she should be or not. And back then I was like, oh, I don't know if I like Dolores. And then once Siggy was gone, I actually realized I truly enjoyed Dolores, and I absolutely love her now. So that's why I always say I like to give it time, because even if I'm not sure if I'm vibing with somebody or not, sometimes they end up growing on me. So Danielle's talking to her husband. They're planning this party, but then she's also talking about who is invited. So she mentions that Jennifer and Rachel are both going to be invited. Rachel is one of the other new girls, and right now we're talking about Jennifer Aydin. This is getting confusing because one of Marge's friends isn't an official cast member, but Jen Fessler is making several appearances this season. So we're going to have Jennifer Aydin and Jennifer Fessler, and we're going to have to say Jennifer Aydin or Jen Fessler to keep them separate because they are two totally different personalities, and we do not want to get them mixed up. So Danielle mentions to her husband about how Rachel and Jennifer Aydin got into it in the previous episode at Teresa's housewarming party. So this scene, this is obviously the episode before. In episode 4, we ended with Teresa's little housewarming thing. And I hated every moment of that housewarming party. But seeing Jennifer Aydin get into it with Rachel, I did not like this at all. I really like Rachel. I'm feeling her so far. So like I just mentioned, she's the other new girl, and instantly I feel like I'm vibing with her. So Jennifer Aydin apparently called Rachel and was like trying to bring up Dolores and talk about her a bit, and Rachel wasn't having it. She just flat out said, I don't want to be involved in stuff like that. Like I would like to make my own decisions about people, and I don't really want somebody calling me to talk crap. And then the one thing that Jennifer Aydin says is that Rachel has a shit nose job. And she was like, and that's why I was calling you, because I have a shit nose job and you have a shit nose job, and I thought we could talk about it. Now, let's be 100% honest about this. I see absolutely nothing wrong with Rachel's nose job. I actually thought it looked really good. Like, I remember when I first saw her pop onto the show, and I'm like, she looks like she has her nose done, but, like, it looks pretty good. Jennifer Aydin looks like a Dr. Seuss character. So, I just cannot handle the fact that she's commenting on Rachel's nose, because girl needs to worry about her own face that she jacked up. So then we're going to move on to Rachel. So there's a scene at her beach house, and she's having her family over. And I do really enjoy watching her and seeing her with her family. They just look like they're all a really close-knit group. And I just loved seeing her in this moment with her family, because I feel like we're still getting to know her. So that was really nice to see where she comes from and what kind of family dynamic she has. And it seems like a very positive and healthy family dynamic. And her mom asked her how Teresa's housewarming went. So, of course, she mentions that her and Jennifer Aydin got into it a little bit and what Jennifer said about her nose. And if there is one thing we can always expect Jennifer Aydin to do consistently, because she's a very inconsistent person, but the one thing she is consistent about is projecting her insecurities onto everybody else. So of course she's gonna say that Rachel has a shit nose job because she has one. So that's her thing. She never takes accountability. Can you tell that I'm a huge Jennifer Aydin fan, by the way? I am not. This person, I have said that I think she is the worst housewife of all time. So in comparison, other franchises that I have had, cast members that are not my favorites. Cast members, is that what they're called? I guess so. So like Potomac, I really cannot stand Candace. I have not liked her since she stepped onto the scene. Now, this past season, I actually didn't hate her as much as I have in the past. And then Ramona from New York. I cannot stand Ramona, but the one thing about Candace and Ramona is like, even if you hate them, you have to admit they make good TV. With Jennifer, I feel like she's just unbearable. I have felt like that since that first season when she came on and she was like just bragging about her sunset at her house and I have 16 bathrooms. I'm like, I can't stand a one-upper and a bragger. So that's probably what rubbed me the wrong way about her from the start. But she has stayed that miserable person and I just don't find her entertaining. I just find her toxic and unbearable. So, of course, Rachel says to her mom that she does not care about what Jennifer Aydin has to say because she is a shit person inside and out, and she is not wrong about that. Jennifer Aydin is a shit person inside and out. So you have to kind of take people like that, what they have to say, with a grain of salt, because it's like, if you wouldn't take advice from this person, then you shouldn't care about what this person thinks. Then we see Melissa and Antonia in the car. And Melissa says Antonia is just a few weeks away from getting her driver's license, so they're going to be practicing driving. This is wild to me because if you've been watching since the beginning of time, I mean, these kids on these shows have literally grown up in front of our eyes. So it was like, what? Antonia's about to drive? It's just mind-blowing to me. So they're practicing, and then they get to the drive-thru, like the Starbucks drive-thru, and Antonia's afraid to turn in, so they have to, like, get out and switch seats because she's having, like, a meltdown that she doesn't want to pull into the drive-thru part. Like, she doesn't want to turn the corner. People are, like, beeping. It was a really funny scene. And then, Melissa brings up Teresa's housewarming party and how Joe, who is Antonia's dad, didn't go. And she tells her that she just doesn't ever want her to hold a grudge against her Aunt Teresa if she sees that her dad is upset. And Antonia does say that the cousins don't get involved. So, because she was like, I always want you to have a relationship with your cousins and whatever. And I did read recently that Antonia did not attend something, I forget, for one of her cousins' a birthday party or something maybe. So, I mean, I don't really know what's going on with that, but it was nice to hear her say that the cousins don't like to get involved. From there, we shoot right over to Teresa, who is dress shopping or whatever in this bridal store in New York City. So she's with Gia and Melania. We've all seen the pictures now because the wedding has passed, and her wedding look is ridiculous. I hate to be like that, but like, I remember her saying in this episode that she wants everybody to gasp when she walks out, and like, we definitely gasped, but like, not in a good way. In a what the heck is this look kind of way. So they're in this bridal store, and then she is talking about her veil, and at first she thought she wanted like love, love, love written all over the veil or stitched in or whatever. She wants words on it. And I was just like, oh God, that's tacky. Please don't do that. But then she changed it. I don't remember exactly what the saying was that she used, but she said that maybe she wants the words on her veil that are the words that are written on her parents' mausoleum. That would be a lot better. I still think it's kind of tacky to have like something written on your veil, but at least if you're going to do it, make sure it has some sort of sentimental value and not just like love, 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 or her love bubble or whatever this is. So one thing I also noticed in this scene with Teresa, Melania, and Gia, why are these people so tan? And I'm not talking about all of the Jersey housewives, but like Louis is literally like a shade of purple. That's how tan he is. And Teresa and Gia in this scene are so orange that it's like, why do you think that that looks good? And listen, I'm from Jersey. I'm not gonna lie. Back in like the Jersey Shore days, yeah, I was tanning a little bit too much. But like now that I'm a grown adult, who is tanning themselves like this? So I'm from Jersey. Majority of us do not look like that. And majority of us do not act like this either. Mind you, I'm from South Jersey and they're from North Jersey, so there is a little bit of a difference here, but like the tan, I cannot handle. It is way too much. So then Teresa asked the girls if Melissa talked to them at the party, and Gia said that she kind of just said hi and bye. And then Teresa saying that it makes her sad. But then I don't believe this. Like, this situation makes her so sad that she's not on the best terms with Joe and Melissa. But at this party, she made a speech saying that everybody who was there was everybody she would want to be there. And these people are her chosen family. Now, if you watched that episode prior, you saw Melissa get choked up because I'm sure that that was hard for her to hear. Everybody that I would want here to be here is here. And this is zero family, like her family at all. Both of her parents are gone. Joe didn't go. Melissa went because she figured it would be better to go and not have drama all around, I guess. But to say that in the moment and say that everyone who's here is my chosen family, this is all I want here. But to say that this situation with your brother makes you so sad, like, I'm just not buying it. And listen, Teresa was never my favorite because she's a bully and she takes no accountability. And just like some of the other people from different franchises, they weren't always my favorite. You can kind of admit that they make good TV. And for the longest time, I do think, even though Teresa is so toxic, I felt like it was good TV. But now I feel like it's to the point where it's not enjoyable to watch anymore because you constantly see her brother getting his heart broken. She just continues to do the same thing she's doing, and she's never wrong, right? It's always them. And I'm starting to hate that they're all still on the show. And like, I really like Joe and Melissa. I would be sad to see them go, but like, I would totally understand if they felt like this was getting too toxic and they had to step away. I would get that. But I think Teresa's time is up. I feel like she's overstayed her welcome on the show, but that's just my opinion. And I know that some people might not like hearing that because it's like you either like Teresa or Melissa. And I'm a Melissa fan, so I'm sorry if you guys are Teresa fans. So then after this little conversation that they're having, Melania, well, I guess they bring up, like, are they going to come to the wedding? And Teresa was like, well, I don't see why they wouldn't come. We know they didn't go, right? Like, because this is in the past at this point. Melania says if they don't come to the wedding, they're never talking again. And this is just mind-blowing to me because her kids are older now, and you used to always see her kids being like upset, and I get that they're probably over it, right? But like, I kind of feel like she's manipulated her daughters to have the same narrative that she's had. And I'm sure in this situation it's not just one person who's wrong. I'm sure that there are things that are wrong on everybody's accord. So I just don't like that Teresa and her daughters just never take any accountability for anything that they do, and everything is Melissa and Joe's fault, everything. This next scene was so interesting to me too because we see Jennifer Aydin having lunch with Melissa. In prior seasons, they have never gotten along. I mean, we've seen them get into some very heated situations. And this is just weird to me. I'm not used to it. And I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I do like Melissa that she's good at like giving people chances. We've seen it with Teresa over and over and over again where she's gotten her feelings hurt, but then she still always has this like little hope that things will be better. I think we're beyond that at this point, but in the past it's been like that. So I do like that she's giving Jennifer a chance, even though I'm not a Jennifer fan. But Melissa's asking Jennifer how her and Bill are. And she said that they mainly fight about the kids and that this is why she called Jen Fessler. So this information also came out that Jennifer Aydin was calling Jen Fessler she's claiming that it was for her expertise on marriage counseling. She quickly moved the conversation into like talking crap on Margaret. So she's stating that Margaret goes through friends and she doesn't have any friends, and that this girl, Laura, that apparently used to be friends with Margaret, Jennifer and Teresa talked to this girl. And I don't think that this girl just approached them. I mean, even if she did approach them, you know Teresa and Jennifer were jumping on the opportunity to have some scoop and dirt on Marge because they don't like her. They keep saying they're going to move forward with her, but then they never do. So I know that they could not wait to talk to this girl and get info. So this girl, Laura, that she talks to said that apparently Marge encourages Melissa to leave Joe. And Melissa said that is not the case at all. Jennifer brings up that it was some baseball player or something, that Marge was like telling Melissa to leave Joe for some baseball player. And then Melissa says that Marge was just trying to flatter her when her and Joe were arguing a lot. Melissa and Joe were going through it a little bit when Melissa decided that she wanted to open up her store and like be a businesswoman, and she didn't want to just be a stay-at-home mom. As a stay-at-home mom, I totally get where she was coming from, and sometimes you do need something that is just yours. Joe was having a hard time adjusting to the dynamic because he was used to Melissa being the stay-at-home mom that cooked dinner every night and did everything for the kids. And there was nights that like maybe she wasn't home cooking dinner, or he maybe had to go pick kids up from practices or whatever. And so they were having a little bit of friction, and that's normal in a marriage. When things change and somebody's not used to something, you have to get used to that dynamic. So I 100% do not think that Margaret was telling her to leave Joe. Margaret's Joe and Joe Gorga are very close. So why would she do that? Like, we know that that is not what was going on. And it comes up later in the episode, and we get a little bit more clarity as to what that conversation was about this ball player. But all I saw in this scene was Jennifer twisting the situation and saying, what kind of friend encourages you to dump your husband? And Melissa was like, that's a reach. Like, that is not what Margaret was doing, and, like, you're reaching with that. Jen Fessler, who is the other Jen that's new this season, and she is Margaret's friend, wants to host a brunch at her house. I feel like I like Jen Fessler. She hasn't done anything to get on my nerves yet, and honestly, she seems pretty down to earth and normal, so I don't have anything bad to say about her. There were definitely some heated moments during this brunch, and I do like the way that she handled it. So, again, I feel like I'm going to like her. She mentions that she was enjoying getting to know Jennifer Aydin before she called and wanted to trash her friend, Margaret. But she said she did invite her because she wants to give her a chance to continue to get to know her. So that did not go well, and we're going to get into that. Melissa at this brunch, like Jennifer Aydin, I'm pretty sure was the last to arrive. I think so. Her and Teresa were like kind of the last to arrive. Melissa is talking to Margaret that Jennifer Aydin was complaining at this lunch that she had about Margaret, and that she was told to watch her back with her friendship with Margaret. So Margaret clarifies that the baseball situation was not like Margaret telling her to leave Joe for some like baseball player that was like flirting with her or something. I feel like that's what Jennifer Aydin was making it out to be. Like, there was an actual baseball player that Margaret was trying to convince Melissa to leave Joe for. Marge says that she was telling Melissa, and it was her probably just trying to like hype up her girlfriend, that if J-Lo could be with A-Rod, Melissa could be with whoever she wanted. That is normal support coming from your girlfriend. That was not like something that she was doing that was sketchy, or, you know, encouraging her to make some sort of like horrible decision. That was her just hyping up Melissa, like, hey, like if he's being a little misogynistic right now and not appreciating you, like you could get anybody you want. So there's that. And that, I feel like if you have like good girlfriends, I'm sure your girlfriends have said that to you in the past. This was not her like telling her to leave Joe for some specific human or anything like that. It was not vindictive. So Margaret says that Jennifer Aydin is pathetic, obsessed, and embarrassing. And if I had to pick 3 words to sum up Jennifer Aydin, those would be the 3 words I would pick. So 100% Margaret, I agree with you. She is pathetic, obsessed, and embarrassing. Mainly embarrassing. And you can see it written all over her husband's face all the time. By the way, did you guys just read that Jennifer and Bill are separated? Like, we didn't see that coming, but she's going to continue to preach that she has this happy life, happy marriage. Another thing pretty off topic that I notice in these scenes at the brunch, Dolores looks freaking phenomenal these days. I know she's had a little bit of work done on her body and everything, but like whatever she's getting done is so tasteful, and honestly, like she looks really good right now. So I just love when she graces my screen. So at the brunch, they kind of bring up, they all want to know, they're inquiring why Danielle doesn't speak to her brother. So there was a prior episode where Danielle and Melissa were shopping, and Danielle was just bringing it up because she knows that Joe and Teresa have some friction. So she said that she would hate to see what has happened between her brother and herself happen between Teresa and Melissa. So that information has now been brought to the group. So they're all asking, what is that about? So she says that she had to block him on social media because he was making fun of her. They're all saying that how she is on her social media is not how she is in person. I think that she purposely is trying to be super over the top on social media because she has this company like Bougie whatever, and I think she was trying to create a brand, like a bougie over the top Jersey girl brand, which makes sense. But I guess her brother was like making fun of her, and in like a very mean way. She blocked him, and then I guess he got mad that she blocked him and disinvited like her and her family from his wedding, and they haven't talked since. After that, we get right into it with Margaret and Jennifer Aydin at each other's throats. This is where I say that like it's not entertaining anymore, because it's one thing when like these housewives get in fights, but then usually it's like different fights. When it's the same fight all the time, it's like Puppygate on Beverly Hills. It's like we're really going to talk about this the whole season. That's why I'm kind of over like the Joe and Teresa drama. Like, it's enough of us seeing you tear your family apart. And then it's the same thing with Margaret and Jennifer Aydin. And I feel like Margaret, she's of course said some things and done some things with Jennifer that weren't nice. But I feel like it's a very similar situation between Jennifer and Margaret like it was between Monique and Candace. And this is where like I don't like this, because Candace and Jennifer Aydin are the two types of people that want to poke the bear. I can say this to you, I can spew hateful stuff, but God forbid when the person comes back and says it to you. And I don't like that form of hypocrisy, because if you're going to put it out there and you're going to be mean, you better be able to suck it up when somebody does it to you. So they're at each other's throats already. And this fight was getting heated, and things were said that were so mean. You know, they're arguing about how Jennifer's bragging all the time. I think that's her defense tactic, because the things that she brags about are all the things that are wrong with her life. So I feel like the bragging is really just her trying to convince herself and maybe everybody else that like things are perfect, and we know they're not. So the lunch with Melissa gets brought up, and Margaret wants to know why she is constantly shit-talking her every chance she gets. So with Jennifer Aydin, you're never going to have any accountability. So she says that she never does anything wrong. Margaret was the one who was wrong for telling Melissa to leave Joe, and they're saying that's not even what it was. You know, there's just lots of yelling at this point. You can't even really hear what's going on. You kind of just see everyone sitting there like it's a lot to handle. So Margaret says that Jennifer Aydin has no friends. Then Jennifer Aydin says that, well, at least I have a family, which is something you'll never have. And that's always her dig. And it's like, Jennifer doesn't really seem like she has friends. Teresa's probably the only person that she's closest with in the group, but I think that they kind of cling to each other because they know that their relationships with everybody else is not solid. So I feel like that's why they have this like little alliance, because they know everybody else pretty much gets along. Like even Dolores like has friction with Jennifer at this point. It is kind of true. Jennifer has had an issue with every person in the group. For her to say about Marge, like, well, I have a family and that's one thing you'll never have. We know Bill had an affair on Jennifer. We know that Margaret bringing that affair up, it is obvious that Jennifer has not dealt with this like on her own personal accord, and that she has just been trying to cover it up all of these years, but she's never actually healed from it. So her pushing like I have this perfect family and that's something you'll never have, she does not have a perfect family. So she needs to stop with that narrative. So then Margaret yells back at her, at least I have a good marriage. Ew, guys. Oh, it just got so bad. You know, like I don't like the things that they were saying to each other, and I understand like where Margaret's coming from because Jennifer spews hurtful things, and sometimes it's hard to be the bigger person. Let's be real. You're always told to be the bigger person, but when someone's constantly coming at you like that, it's hard sometimes. You see Jen Fessler trying to diffuse the situation. Jennifer Aydin is still going. So then Margaret gets up and says she's going to leave. I don't blame her. I would probably want to get the heck out of that situation too. So Jen Fessler tells her absolutely not to sit down, and she tells Jennifer to leave. And I agree with that because Jennifer was the one where you literally couldn't even get a word in, and she's just so toxic, and I think that Margaret's just over it at this point. To excuse herself from the situation is probably the right thing to do. But I liked how Jen Fessler handled this because the truth is she is closest with Margaret out of everybody in the group. She's on this show as Margaret's friend. So I do like that she stuck by her friend and told her friend to stay and made the other person leave. I do think that's going to have a huge part in how Jen Fessler feels about Jennifer Aydin moving forward, because she stated that she was looking forward to getting to know her and liked that she was getting to know her until she called and started to talk crap on Marge. And then after this, I just don't see Jen Fessler and Jennifer Aydin getting close. And of course, because Jennifer Aydin is leaving, Teresa's going to go with her. So you hear Jennifer talking to Teresa out front, and she's like, I love my husband and our life, and Marge is jealous. Who is she trying to convince that she loves her husband and loves her life? We saw you go to dinner with your husband, and you couldn't even get through a dinner without arguing and fighting. We see you get drunk at every single function, and Bill being completely mortified and just tries to get you out of the situation. So she does not love her husband. She does not have a happy marriage. So to hear her saying this, especially when recently news broke that they are separated, you can't convince us of this. We see it. You are not happy. And that's why I feel like she lashes out and always tries to deflect onto somebody else, because she doesn't want that attention on her in that way. She only wants the attention on her if she looks like she has a perfect life. So then we end the show at Danielle's daughter Valentina's party. This party is very over the top. It's absolutely what I would expect for a Real Housewives child's birthday. And Danielle, she seems a little over the top. So this is the perfect party. It was a Barbie theme, very cute. You can tell that Danielle adores her kids. So I stated in the beginning, I am still getting to know Danielle and I don't have an opinion on her yet. But one thing I can tell is that she adores her kids and she looks like she's a really good mom. So Danielle and Rachel are discussing Jen Fessler's brunch, and they just said that they both hated seeing that go down and that they kind of don't really want to be a part of that, just bringing other girls down type of dynamic. And I think that's refreshing to hear, because that's generally what the show is everybody bringing everybody down. So I like that the two new girls aren't on board with that. We'll see if it sticks, but currently it seems like they're not trying to be like that. So you see Jennifer Aydin say hello to Rachel at the party. We know prior to this episode, she was really rude to Rachel and said she had a shit-nosed job. So this was interesting to see her being overly nice. And then Rachel asked how she's feeling after, I guess, the brunch. So she asked Rachel if she wants to sit down and have a talk. Rachel says that she didn't appreciate Jen screaming in her face, and that's mainly what she had a problem with. Again, we just see Jennifer making excuses and deflecting, as she always does. And then you see, because Teresa and Louie are at this party too, which was interesting to me because they don't have any little kids, but I guess Danielle and Teresa are cool enough that she invited them. And you see Louie and Teresa and Jennifer Aydin standing together, and Louie asked Jennifer what happened with Marge at the brunch. And this is why I cannot stand Louie. I feel like he's a clout chaser, and I feel like he just got with Teresa just for his own personal gain. He does not seem like a genuine person. But sir, why are you getting involved in the girl's drama and asking her what happened? It's weird. It's just of course this is who Teresa ended up with. So then that's just Teresa and Jennifer Aydin talking crap about Margaret. This is crazy to me because I feel like Teresa and Jennifer are just on a Margaret smear campaign, because then you see them talking to the two new girls, Rachel and Danielle, and they're just trashing Margaret and they're going hard. And this to me is them definitely trying to sway these two girls to be more on their side. This is why I like Rachel, because Rachel's I have a mind of my own and I'm getting to know all of you. And my opinion is going to be solely my own opinion, not what you guys have as history with this person. Like, I'm going to judge her on my own. And I love that because we know Teresa and Jennifer are schemers. We know that there's plenty of times when Teresa did horrible things, like with Margaret and telling the other Danielle Straub to like pour a drink on her and stuff like that. When that all came out, we've seen Teresa be really mean and stirring the pot and doing things just to be mean to other women. And now she has her little minion, Jennifer, to back her up. So that was the latest episode of New Jersey. I would love to hear what you guys think about this, how you feel about this argument between Jennifer and Margaret. Like, what side are you on? Do you guys like Jennifer? Do you think she makes good entertainment, or do you think her toxic energy is just like unbearable to watch? Because that's how I feel. We're going to end this on what Margaret said, that Jennifer Aydin is pathetic, obsessed, and embarrassing. And she is. And she is going to continue to be that person until she finds a way to be happy with herself. We will see if that happens. I don't see that ever happening because I don't ever see her taking accountability. So that's it. Can't wait to see the next episode air so we can talk about it. Thank you for listening to Dish It with Des. Don't forget to subscribe. Share this with your friends. Anybody who loves Bravo and reality TV, let them know that this is a new podcast that they should be listening to. Signing off. Talk to you guys soon.